Every now and then I feel like sitting down and talking about reasons that you should not buy things, and that is because there is an overwhelming amount of content on the internet trying to convince you that you do, whether they use language that tells you that this next product that you're gonna buy is life-changing, or corporations putting billions of dollars behind marketing, trying to trick the things that happen in your brain into making you think you need to click twice and have that thing show up at your home. Whatever the reason is, there's plenty of noise online telling you to buy more stuff, and I want to serve as the person online that tells you that, hey, you probably don't need that thing. Today, the way I am choosing to do that is by sitting down and going through a folder that I've created for myself on TikTok called Anti-haul. These are things that either have been tagged in and people wanted me to talk about, or things that came across my For You page for some strange reason, trying to convince me that I needed to buy said thing. And I'm gonna tell you why I either talked myself out of it, what the underlying problem I think of the type of like urgency messaging around it is, or anything else, because everything we buy has an environmental impact. Yes, I'm gonna give my little spiel, and if you haven't heard me give it before, you might need to hit the subscribe button because you're probably new here. But if you clicked on this video, I think you will like it because my focus is on anti-consumerism in the name of being better to the planet, because everything we buy has an environmental impact before it makes it to us. The environmental impact of the things we buy is not just in the fact that they might end up at the landfill. The environmental impact of the things that we buy also comes from growing or mining the raw materials, and then all of the manufacturing that goes into it, the fossil fuels used in that manufacturing process, the fossil fuels used to ship it all over the world, etc., etc. The list goes on. It is never ending. Just about every single environmental problem that you can point to is tied back to consumerism. So this channel serves as a place to tell you to stop it. First up is something I just can't believe is what exists online, and I've actually seen this at the thrift store as well, and it is essentially taking something that exists and screen printing it onto a very basic base and selling it. For instance, at the thrift store, I have seen like these swimsuit materials with printed like embroidery on them, and this is a door hanging meant to look like a bow. It's the most cringy thing I've ever seen. Please, please indulge with me.
So I just received a Temu order. This is what I ordered. This little like satin bow to hang on the outside of your door. It's a curtain. I'll back up. There's a door on it.
Can you believe this is actually something that people are selling? And that because of the way that they make it so easy to click and buy these things now, people are not even really thinking through making the purchases. So then they end up with something like this. It's actually mind-blowing. The fact that this product exists is actually really wild to me, and again, I think it speaks to how fast people see something, click it, and buy it, that they don't stop to pause and really think through what they're buying, to read the description and to make sure that it's actually what they think they're getting is what they're getting. That's like problematic aspect of this, number one. But number two is how cheap things are, how cheap they're being produced. I think a lot of these companies know that once that thing shows up at someone's home, it's not even worth their effort to go through the process of returning it. And the other part of this is, if you've ever tried to make a bow, you know that it's not super hard. Like if you know how to sew, making a bow like this, putting two satin pieces together is not that hard. But with that much fabric and as big of a bow as it is, it would cost a significant amount for the labor that goes into it and for the materials that go into it. So whatever price that this person thought they were paying to get a satin bow, it should have clicked. Like if we had more of a relationship with what it takes to produce the things that we buy, it would set off a red flag in our head. If I thought I was getting like a 8-foot satin bow and the price was under, say, $75, I would be like, probably need to read the description. But we're so separated from that realization doesn't happen, and it's so easy to click and have things show up at your door that we end up with situations like this. And I mean, obviously, I would like to anti-haul all of that. I would like to de-influence you from making purchases like this in general, from making impulse purchases like this, from making purchases from brands that are doing things so unethically and so sketchy also. And also just like the general product itself, a wall hanging, a screen print of a door. Don't buy that, okay? Don't buy anything like that.
I desperately need to go see the Valentine's Day stuff at HomeGoods and TJ Maxx and go to Bath & Body Works for a Valentine's Day candle. First stop. They have everything out. That is so cute. I fear this is a must. Absolutely love these pillows. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't. I really can't right now. I really love this little dish. If you're wondering if it's awkward filming in public, extremely awkward.
That's not what I was wondering. Okay. I can't. So what really bothers me about this is the normalization of this type of thinking. I need to go to HomeGoods to see what there is. That type of shopping is toxic for our mental health, awful for our wallets, and bad for the planet. Going shopping just to see what there is to buy is an awful reason to go shopping because, listen, I know that these things are cute, specifically that cake dish that she showed. But that is why something being cute, being the only reason that you're buying it, is not enough. There is an endless amount of things on this planet that we think is cute, that is aesthetic, that we would want to add to our wardrobes or our homes or our routines because it is cute. But that being the only reason that you actually buy something is an awful way to handle your mental health, to get those dopamine hits from just going into a store and buying something. It's a really short-term, not great way to maintain our mental health and our happiness. It's awful for our wallets because, again, there is no end to that. There's no end to what we think is cute. And that type of consumerism is what is literally destroying the planet. People who have the privilege to be able to spend their disposable income on unnecessary things like this are the reason that we are in an environmental crisis. The amount of consumerism from the top half of the world is the reason we are experiencing so many environmental disasters. Like, that is just my perspective, and arguably it is a fact. This was filmed this year, and the economy has been in free fall, not only for the last few months, but honestly for the last couple years. And people are hurting and struggling to pay their rent genuinely with the cost of housing. And then you see someone like this who normalizes and makes you think that it is normal to just go shopping and spend hundreds of dollars for fun. And I hate that. And I grew up in a household where this is what we did. We went and bought things just because we liked how they looked. And it's ended up in a situation where my parents are not financially stable and they have a lot of shit that either I'm gonna have to clean out before they're gone or once they're gone. And it is a burden that no one deserves to have to deal with. So save yourself and your loved ones the labor and just don't go shopping just for fun. I would like to de-influence you from that activity overall.
Junk journal with me using the Box of Nuts Vintage Cutouts Junk Journal Pack.
Oh, I was like, why do I have this in my anti-haul? I love junk journaling.
Images printed on label paper that you can cut out and use for journaling. There's a huge variety of super cool vintagey images and pop art, and it's absolutely perfect. It's extra fun because you can cut the images out yourself, so you can get creative about what size border you have. I personally enjoy the process of cutting the images out myself, and it allows you to get creative with the larger pieces as well.
What bothers me is when trends start out as something that is sustainable and it quickly gets turned into something that is the opposite. So junk journaling is something where, like, recently I went to a tea tasting with some of my friends, and I asked the person who was guiding us through this experience if I could have some of the tea leaves to dry out and put into my junk journal. That is the goal of junk journaling, taking something that already exists throughout your day and putting it in a journal as a scrapbook. That is the sustainable part of it, that you are using things that would otherwise be trash and making them into memories. When we then go and create things for the purpose of making them into a junk journal, well, you didn't take junk and turn it into art. You just created something new and put it into a journal. It's not necessarily that practice is always bad. I think that there is value and, dare I say, resistance in creating art and doing things for joy. I think my point is I hate when things that start out as something that is sustainable quickly get co-opted and turned into the opposite, where we are creating new things to make the thing that was doing something sustainable and reusing our waste to create memories. Does that make sense? I really hate when that happens. I feel it happens a lot. That's my own personal grievance. Let me know if you agree or disagree.
It's like, I travel all the time. Look how freaking cool that is. Like, you know how many times I've been sitting at that freaking airport like this, arm freaking going to sleep.
Stop. I was thinking that this was to hold your phone on the plane, which I thought, well, that's an extended period of time. Maybe that's valuable. No, this is specifically to hold your phone while you are waiting for the plane. This is one of those things that bother me because it is something that people think, oh yeah, that is something I would absolutely use. And they, A, were doing just fine before or without it. B, they're gonna forget about it, forget to pack it. It's not adding enough value to your life, I feel like, to add to your routine all the time. And so this is one of those things that will end up sitting in a drawer. There's also the added context of like not traveling that often. It's a product that is used for such a specific use that unless you travel like on a weekly basis, you're not going to be getting a lot of use out of. This is the type of product that I feel was created to solve a problem that most people didn't even realize existed, and it is adding waste to our planet and using resources to create. We didn't need this. No one needed this. You know what's frustrating is that every time I say that, someone in the comments is like, well, I needed him for this specific instance or for this group of people. I get it. I get that there are exceptions to what I am saying. I'm telling you my perspective on it, and I'm telling you the overarching theme. That's kind of why I try not to tie the things I'm saying necessarily to just be like, this one product is wasteful. I'm trying to analyze it from the aspect of the type of consumerism, which in this specific circumstance is fixing a problem that like most people didn't even realize was a problem. Okay, I would like to de-influence you from all of those, everything that fits into that category, but specifically this product as well. I think it's just really silly.
There's no reason to be spending $50+ on a sweater when these exist. This is, I think, under $20.
Stop. I say I want to de-influence you from this type of mentality, this type of consumerism. There is no reason to be spending $50 on a sweater is a disgusting statement to make. When people say something is not worth something, we have completely separated the cost of labor and the cost of materials from what we define as a worth. And it makes me so angry. There is absolutely an endless amount of reasons why a sweater would cost more than $50. Higher quality materials, more ethical labor practices throughout the farming process, more eco-friendly practices throughout the farming process, like reducing pesticides, reducing water use, reducing land use, etc., etc. The list goes on as to why some materials would cost more. But at the end of the day, the highest cost of producing an item is often the labor that goes into it. And so if you are buying a sweater that is under $50, I guarantee you the person who helped make that garment along the way was not paid an ethical wage. And there is an endless amount of reasons why a sweater should cost more than $50 within the labor of producing that garment. The conversation around what something is worth and what is justified has got to change. We cannot continue as a society on this trajectory where the only thing that is considered is the fact that you can get something cheaper somewhere else. That's not a good enough reason to say what something is worth or not.
This is the gadget you never knew you needed.
No, this is the gadget you never know you needed. That's the worst phrase in the history of social media. Stop. If you didn't know you need it, you probably don't.
$4, and we were able to move this 400-pound table by ourselves, and we were originally going to hire 4 people to move this thing. No more struggling moving rugs under your bed. You can easily slide your rugs underneath with the help of this guy.
I think this is a really good example of like the individualism of consumerism that bothers me. We all think we need to own that thing. We all think that like we shouldn't be asking our friends or family or neighbors for help. So I need to buy something to solve this problem. She literally said, I was going to hire 4 people to help me move this. And I understand why like financially it would make more sense to buy a tool in that situation than hire 4 people. But my question is always like, why would you feel that the only option you have is to hire people, not to like maybe make something for your friends or your neighbors or your family, or like do some sort of mutual aid exchange and asking them to come help you move something. I think I added this to my anti-haul list to speak on the fact that like we often think that there is a consumer solution for a problem that there is actually like a completely consumer-free solution to it. And that is specifically because we've been sold this idea that like asking your friends for help is not a good thing and like you should just pay for a solution. And similarly with just all the things that I think have popped up over recent years. I did make a couple videos last summer about this, about how consumerism makes us lonely. And I think this is a good example of that. I think this is a good example of like you could have found a solution that didn't require you to buy something. And number two, that's a type of tool that like only one person within the next like several households with you need, because it would be used so rarely. So I would like to de-influence you from that sort of purchase with that sort of mentality.
Okay, I gotta know what we are doing instead of the crossbody bags, because I'm not sure where to go.
Stop. I hate it. I hate that this is normal. How many likes does this have? 42,000 likes. Okay, this is what's frustrating about these types of, I don't even need to watch the video because I instantly remember why I put this in my anti-haul list. I have seen several types of videos like this come up that literally are asking people to tell them what they should buy. It's like, what's the bag of the season? What's the shoe of the season? Why on earth, if what you're using is working, do you need someone else to tell you what to buy instead? But it's this thought that like the things that we own help us or like connect us to a community instead of the things that we care about. I did a whole video about this. I wish I could remember what it's called off the top of my head. Tara, if you can remember, please help me. Because the mentality here is like, I want to fit in by what I'm buying. I want to connect with people and signal that I am part of a community, not by what I do or think or believe or my actions, but simply by what I am wearing. That type of mentality and tying our worth and our personality to the things that we buy is, again, what leads us to this toxic cycle of always buying things to feel like we're fitting in or that we're better or to make us happy, and then eventually that wears off and we do it all over again. And it's awful for our mental health. It's awful for our wallets, and it's killing our planet. It is quite literally killing our planet. And if all I can do to help solve that problem, well, I do a lot to help solve that problem. Every now and then, I feel the need to remind you, and I feel the need for a video to exist that when this is what's showing up on your phone over and over and over again, that there's somewhere you can go that can explain to you why that is not normal, why that is not good. And that is my goal with this video and overall with my channel, is to tell you that that sort of mentality is toxic. It is awful. You should try your best to remove yourself from it. It is not helping us progress as people, as a society. These sort of mentalities is what gets us to the extremely problematic situation that we are in, where consumer debt is at an all-time high, where environmental crises and environmental problems are at an all-time high. That is what gets us there. We are in a loneliness epidemic, and that sort of thinking is how we get there. And I hope that this video and my channel overall helps you create a resistance to this sort of normalization. And if you're new here, you should hit the subscribe button, because I plan to post videos like this as often as I can to remind you that your true worth is within yourself and your true community is out there with the things that you care about and not what you're buying. So remember, until next time, you cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do. Bye, guys.